Support us by subscribing, ring the notification bell, press all, and thumbs up. Thank you.
Skid set now.
Radar altimeter set 300 feet now.
Set 300 feet now.
So exercise Guerrier Nordique, GN, is a Canadian Arctic exercise. It often does subarctic and high Arctic. This year it's high Arctic. But the point of the exercise is to teach soldiers survival skills in the extreme cold.
So currently we're in the training site of Yates. It's a training site outside of Quebec City. It's home of the 2nd Canadian Division. So here is really where we come together as a U.S. entity to essentially go through training validation that the Canadian soldiers will be joining have also done. So when we do join the rest of the soldiers from across the 35th CBG and the 34th CBG, we're coming with a shared understanding of what it took to get there. Joining forces from across a plethora of states, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Utah, National Guard, to include the 11th Arctic out of Alaska.
So training in the Arctic is inherently dangerous because of the weather, the risk of predators, and the possibility of being cut off from our main sources of supply. And this is why this training right now that we are conducting is extremely important. So the main tasks that we focus on before deploying to the Arctic is operating as a section of about 8 to 10 members, mainly on living conditions, setting up shelter, mobility tasks, and generally surviving the environments.
So this week our Canadian mentor, he told us all about the snowmobiles that we'll be using up there, the heating systems, the cooking systems, how to set up and put down tents. We spent a decent amount of time on the snowmobiles getting used to driving those and recovering them when they get stuck, because it's kind of inevitable that that's going to happen. It was really useful to be able to get their perspective because they've obviously done this quite a bit. So what I'm doing now is getting my stuff packed. I'm getting ready to take the bus up to the airport. We're going to be headed up to Resolute Bay here pretty soon. So we're going to be in Arctic tents while we're up there, so we need everything to be able to sleep directly on the snow. So right now I'm packing up my sleep system that has 2 sleeping bags inside of one another with a bivy cover on the outside that kind of protects it from the elements. I'll have 2 sleeping pads underneath that just so that I don't have any contact with the snow.
So where we are currently is what we call Resolute Bay. It's just west of the Baffin Island region. Kind of follow the Hudson Bay up straight north, and you'll run into Resolute. It's predominantly on Cornwallis Island, or is on Cornwallis Island. We're just to the southern tip of it. There's a whole section of land up in the north that since the end of the Cold War people have sort of neglected. Now we're running into the aspect of commercial ships coming in, that type of thing. So with the current events in the world, people are starting to get nervous of the northern direction. So, and in these scenarios, the training involved in order to be operationally effective again, it's quite extensive. So it's good to keep practicing these movements, keep practicing these cohesions. That way, if a scenario does happen where we need the people from the south to help us out, we have it.
So the exercise is important because the Arctic is unique. Learning how to survive in this environment is critical to being able to fight in this environment. So if you don't give your soldiers adequate time to rest, if you don't give your soldiers 2 hot meals a day, if you don't allow your soldiers a significant amount of sleep per night, or if you try to move them too fast, you'll hurt soldiers and severely deplete your combat effectiveness. So training leaders how to manage their soldiers in this environment is critical if we're ever called to take action in an environment like this.
Got to the right here.
So exercise Guerrier Nordique is an opportunity for joint forces from both the United States and Canada to operate in the Arctic. And we're up here with our unique capability, obviously having ski-equipped C-130s. We're the only unit in the world that has that. We have the ability to insert both personnel and cargo out on the sea ice. If we construct a skiway out there, we can use that as a logistical hub.
So for the first time ever, U.S. and Canadian soldiers conducted a tactical insert on an ice skiway approximately 120 kilometers north of Resolute Bay. In years past, we've had to move those soldiers to those locations on snowmobiles. This is a historic achievement in our history, in the history of this exercise, and really in the history of the 109th Airlift Wing, because we were able to use a ski-enabled LC-130H to deliver an entire platoon and their kit onto the sea ice 120 miles away from the closest hardstand building.
Most of what we've been learning out here is how to do Arctic operations. High point, I'd say, is we conducted a raid out here. So we did about a 20K movement on snowmobiles. We were able to traverse both on land and across sea ice to get to the objective, and we were able to do a coordinated attack. It was a joint exercise, so we did it, or a joint attack. We did it with a Canadian squad attached to our platoon. It was cool to see how those guys integrated with us.
So I came into this training thinking this Arctic was going to be some frozen hellscape that was just this unsurvivable monstrosity. However, it is survivable. I learned pretty quick that if you prep correctly and if you work with your team well, you can actually more than just survive, you can actually thrive in this environment.